the south of France, in Nice in fact, aboard MB&Y's latest, the GT40. Now the 40-foot sports cruiser market is a very well evolved market, and you normally find a lot of boats following a very similar layout as a result. So most of them will have a C-shaped seating area at the back of the cockpit, opposite a wet bar, and then a double helm to starboard with a chaise lounge to port. MB&Y have actually come up with something a little bit different. What they've done is they've stretched the aft portion of the cockpit a little bit further forward, and that's put plenty of seating at both sides of the cockpit. They've then put the wet bar in the centre rather than to one side. And the other thing that's changed is a little bit further forward, because you'll find the double helm seat in the centre of the boat, and that leaves room for a third seat for another person up at the helm to join them. What's nice is they've actually put a walkway through in the centre as well as over on the port side, which means that everybody can get in and out without having to trip over anybody else, and it actually works surprisingly well. Down here in the cabin it's mainly pretty conventional. You've got your master cabin forward with a central double berth, and you've got this dinette area over on the port side, and you've got your galley over to starboard with a decent sized heads just after that. What has changed is the mid cabin. Pretty much all boats of this type and class will have two berths running transversely. What you've got on this boat is two berths running lengthways, and that does give you very good headroom as you go into that cabin, although I suspect you may lose a little bit of storage as a result of it. We've got pretty much perfect testing conditions down here in the south of France today, with a big rolling swell, but it's just about calm enough that you can get the boat up to its maximum speed. There's a pair of D4 300 horsepower engines in this boat. They're a little bit smaller than you often find in this type of boat. You normally get the D6 330s and 370s in this size of boat, but there are a couple of things in its favour. First is it has MB&Y's latest air step hull, which they say pulls air under the hull and reduces friction. The second is the boat weighs about 7.5 tonnes, where boats like a Princess V39 or Portofino 40 are around 10 tonne. The result is it picks up on the plane very quickly with these engines. It doesn't have quite the top end of something like a V39. This one's topping out at about 33 knots, but it does cruise very nicely in the high 20s up to about 30. But what I have to say is the hull does perform very, very nicely. We got it completely airborne a couple of times, and it came down very smoothly. It pumps the spray out wide and low as well. Unless you've got the wind on the beam, you're not going to get too much spray over the boat, so that management is very good also. And it feels a nice, competent boat out there. Nothing rattles. It just feels a comfortable, capable place to be. Today, given that MB&Y have gone their own way in terms of things like the layout. But in fact it works well. There's enough differences that this is an alternative to your normal mainstream sports cruiser layout, but it doesn't lose anything in terms of practicality and functionality. Indeed, in many areas it actually gains. It works well on the water, it handles nicely, driving position is good, the layout is functional, and it's a nice alternative rather than the usual safe, samey layout that you find in this marketplace.